Hey, it's Thad Getterman. So I've just released version 1.1 of Shoehorn, a couple of bug fixes. I would like to cover some of that, also give an example, run through some of the new features and bug fixes. I had done a prior video where I had sideloaded pfSense at DigitalOcean. There's a couple ways I thought that it could be better, and it's also just low-hanging fruit since it's typically not supported at VPS providers, virtual private servers. And a lot of those, such as Linode, DigitalOcean, OVH, Vulture, all of them like that, they're either using KVM or Zen. A lot of them are KVM. And then on their recovery mode, it's usually Debian based. So I guess for those of you not familiar with Shoehorn, maybe we can go into that first, and I'm going to try to glide through this as quick as I can so that it's not just dragging on. Shoehorn is a utility that I made that lets you sideload an operating system into a virtual machine instance. So at my house, I actually use Proxmox for running uh, KVM based virtual machines and LXC based containers. And so that's inside on bare metal hardware. But then for cloud side of things, then there's less control of what you can put in, even though it's still a lot of the same underlying platform. Like I said, KVM. Um, and so it's something that I guess let's get going. And then if there's questions, by all means, feel free to ask. I always encourage people to just comment on my website, thad.getterman.org. Or, I'll try to respond here on whatever video platform you're watching this on, probably YouTube, but in the future, I may try to start heading in the direction of PeerTube. Last but not least, I do have to throw a shout out to my friend Matt, who I also threw a shout out to a year ago when I gave a talk at the Python meetup. Matt has always kind of been the angel on my shoulder that tells me that I should try to put forth videos and articles, and he's really been kind of the driving force that kind of kick in the pants I need for sitting down and trying to grind something out. So. Let's start with this is the GitLab repo for Shoehorn. Pretty much already described what it is, so I'm just going to scroll down and then if you want, I will try to update the demo video. This is the older one that I had mentioned, so I'm going to grab this. Um, Even though I'm going to give the demo on DigitalOcean today, I do have to also mention Linode and OVH. So Linode is another great one. I love OVH. OVH has these cheap VPSs, virtual private servers, that offer unlimited ingress and egress traffic. I'll put referral links on the video and on the articles, so that way, if you would like to financially support me, specifically for like hosting and server costs, then you can click through, and then we'll see. Like different friends have always suggested also adding other things, but I'm like I'd have to really sit down and spend more time on production. So we'll get to the Patreons and the Venmos and all those things at a later date if I can actually keep my schedule clear enough to make these kinds of things. Last but not least, there is that fabled book that I have been working on for way too long and still haven't finished and published. So that would be another nice thing to cover at a later date. So. Let's see, $3.50, unlimited bandwidth. I've actually used Shoehorn for this, and that's kind of how this utility was came into existence. So typically, when you see me release something, it's because I've been using it for my own stuff internally for months, if not years, and then I try to clean it up and get it pretty enough to release to the public. And so. Without further ado, we're in examples, get started with droplet. And I'm just going to breeze through. Let's do the $5 instance. The reason that I'm starting at $5 instance and you're going to see me resize and go up to something bigger, go up to 2 gigs of RAM, is because a lot of VPS providers, with the exception of Linode, will let you only ramp up on CPUs and RAM and then come back down. And so Linode is the only one that I know of that will actually let you turn up the hard drive and then turn it back down. Everybody else, if you upgrade the hard drive as well, then you have to stay there. So if I were to start at the $10 instance, I wouldn't be able to downgrade to the $5 instance. We'll just leave it at New York and we'll sit there and, okay, there's my SSH key. Everything else, leave it the same. We'll create the droplet. While it's creating, I'm going to start getting ready to resize it and turn up the RAM. And the reason that you're going to see me turn up the RAM is because we're going to use the RAM like a hard drive. Shoehorn lets us actually set that as a RAM disk. And so you'll see that come into play in a little bit when we load a 700 some odd megabytes ISO and start overriding the actual server with that ISO. Right? Let's pull up console. Okay, it's already up. Very cool. All right, so I am going to turn this off. Then it's off. I'm going to resize to 2 gigs of RAM. We'll wait for it to resize. While we're waiting, let's go to recovery. And as soon as it finishes resizing, I'm going to set the boot mode to boot from recovery ISO. And that's going to give us our Debian-based recovery mode for being able to sit there and use Shoehorn. And as of right now, Shoehorn is geared towards Debian-based recoveries. It is on my list of things to do to add in working with other operating systems. I would say Red Hat and CentOS are at the top of the list. And then whatever other needs arise from under that. All right, so it has resized. I will boot from recovery ISO. Okay, boot device updated. And now I'm going to turn it on. And when it pulls up, I will bring up the console and we'll wait for the console to get us to the screen. And that's where I'm going to, there we are. I will start to work on SSHing in. Okay, there it is. So it is pulled up. I will use my terminal program. Then Command Option I. Okay. Let me grab the IP address. All right, I have turned off Command Option I for a moment. That way I can just accept the key on this screen. And then I'm going to turn it back on. Now everything is connected. Okay, so let's run htop on here for right now. Let's just watch mount. And let's make a break. Let's watch our memory. Make another break. And let's watch our swap space. All right. This, I'm just going to use this as my miscellaneous terminal. And then this is the window that I'm going to run shoehorn in. So let's go back. These are the instructions for general use with Debian based. Underneath is, underneath is Phoenix, which is more, you would see that on Linode, for example. And curly braces let you execute a series of commands at once. I believe the difference between a curly brace and a parentheses is the issue of a subshell. If I'm recalling correctly, curly braces are not executing it as a subshell, while as parentheses would. Okay, now we're going to close our curly brace. And this was another bug that I fixed, by the way, where you saw it loading from the repo just now. That's it used to sit there and reload every single time it ran, and that was really annoying. So now it will only load if the cache hasn't been filled. So, and another thing that you won't really see because it's just a wall of text that's gonna just blur through is where it cleans the package space. I will demonstrate that feature that I added in for manual control as well. We'll get into that by installing the utility called tree. So just bear with me. And let's watch our disk space while we're at it. Let's go watch, let's see, df. We'll just watch the temp space. What you will see usually in recovery mode is they'll do an overlay file system. So usually most of what you're saving your files as is RAM. And so if you notice where it says we've got the 2 gigs and then the fact that we have pretty healthy amount of space right here is because that's a lot of that is coming from the RAM side of things, that extra RAM that we turned on. So let's go through hard disk. We can sit there and mount pretty easily. What I like, not to toot my own horn too much, but what I like is being able to sit there and not have to remember all of these esoteric commands to make things happen. I like to be able to just cycle through and grab things. I wish I had a great memory. I don't, so I have to refer to a lot of my notes normally, and that's what Shoehorn has solved. It made it a lot easier. So now we have the first partition, VDA1, 24.9 gigs. We can look inside and look at that. There is our Ubuntu operating system given to us by DigitalOcean. So, and you see it right there. So I'm going to go ahead and unmount. Let's go back. If we want, we can modify the table. This would be great for resizing partitions or making new partitions. We're not going to do that today, though. Formatting? We could. It would take a hot minute to do, and so I'm gonna skip past that. Actually, no, this one I'll demonstrate. It's the zeroing out that I was thinking of. So we're gonna format the first partition with ext4, and there we go. So if we go mount it again, hey, empty hard drive. Now we have 24 gigs available. Very cool. Okay, unmount. Let's see, what else do we have? Modify table, edit format. We could do wipe table. I'm not going to because I actually need the table format available for how we're going to sideload. Same story with destroy and destroy all. We could either zero out the disk or zero out a partition. So you'd be able to go destroy, and then you'd be able to choose VDA1 if you want to overwrite that entire partition with zeros. Again, not going to, it's going to take up too much time, and I'm really trying to make this video as fast as possible. RAM disk. So we have let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's cool. Available megabytes of RAM. So I would be able to extend this. I can make, let's make a 750 megabyte RAM disk. Actually, you know what? Let me show you guys this. Let's make a 250 megabyte RAM disk, and then I will show you. Let's go make, let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm going to do a bind mount, and just call it mine. Okay. And then I will make a hybrid disk. So I will sit there and say 250 and 250. Now, before I start getting into this, when you make a hybrid disk, it lets you merge like a RAM disk and a hard disk together. In this case, this is actually two parts of RAM, but the point still stands. So I can sit there and go, let's see, shoe RAM, shoe bind 250. So we're gonna have a 500 megs to work with. So I'll make this. Kind of kill two birds with one stone here. So let's go to hybrid, and there's nothing on there. And we have 494 megabytes, right? So then on shoe RAM, same kind of story. We've got our hybrid right there on our RAM disk that we made, and then we've got over here on shoe bind, we've also got another hybrid part. So this is kind of, if you're familiar on RAID, if you're familiar with the concept of JBOD, just a bunch of disks, it's kind of like that. It lets you combine space together so you can have larger space. So if we go on shoebind and we say touch hello world, then we go to temp mine. Let's look in and see, there's hello world. So that would be an example of what a bind mount does. Then let's go turn off our hybrid disk. While we're at it, let's turn off the RAM disk. You have made a change to the RAM disk, which will destroy all contents. Yes. Okay, so I've covered quite a bit. Swap. Let's do swap while we're at it. Let's remember how we formatted and we did that partition. Let's go there. Okay, I'm going to add swap VDA1. Let's just call it swap file. This is one of the new features I added, by the way. So let's say 999 to 1000. And so we're going to do a gig swap file for swap memory. So save. And look at that. So we have our swap that we just put in, and there it is in HTOP showing up right there. And so now we've got physical RAM, and then we've got swap. So that is a new feature. I'm like, pat on the back on that one. It had been on my list, and I finally put it in. And then the other thing was I had added in where you can also use swap now for virtualization. Since we have 2 gigs, we don't need it, but in case you ever do. So we can go remove swap. Now you're going to see this change right here, and you'll see this change. And then over here in htop, you will see this change right there. So let's go. Let's knock down swap file. Nope, I don't want to keep the swap file. So mount VDA swap file. All right, 1000 meg swap file. I don't want to keep it. Try again. Nothing. It's gone. So that's that. Now let's go back. Let's unmount. Let's see. What else do we have? I don't need the bind mount, so I'm going to disable that. Okay, so we're pretty cleared out. We're back. Before we jump on virtualization, let's run through maintenance. Okay, detached loop devices. Maybe we still have some stragglers. Um, Sometimes the system takes a little longer to clear things out. That is not to say that there isn't a bug or something I might have overlooked, but we can use this. Okay, so we do have hybrid shoe that's lingering around as a loop device, so we're going to disconnect that. We're going to purge all hybrid images, if any are around. Nothing. Okay, now purge package cache. So this is a new feature that I added. Now when Shoehorn is setting it up, it automatically cleans up. So that way we get we get a more space that's reclaimed. Part of that is also the desire. Amazon malfunction.
Echo, stop.
So, oh man, where was I?
I'm so sorry. Shit, I didn't even realize that.
It's all good. Uh,
Oops.
okay, I'm still recording. All right, so purge package cache. So when Shoehorn is sitting there installing the packages, it used to not clear out packages, and so now watch what happens. Let me go back and let me get ready though. All right, let's do. Let's say we want to use tree. So oh, no tree. Oh, I'd have to do apt install. Okay, right? Um, so let's go apt install tree. It's probably going to fail because it needs package updates. See, unable to locate package. All right, cool. Apt update and apt install. Yes, to tree. And it's going to go through. It's going to grab all these package updates, and we are going to watch our consumption and available space. Consumption go up, available space go down. And then watching these numbers here, watching some of the numbers over there. And there we are. So we're going to go back to maintenance. 141 megs of package cache is being used. Before I clear it, let's go look at package management. This is another feature that I added thanks to Aptitude. And so now we can sit there and prune specific packages to free up even more space. So in theory, if I really sat down and kind of made a list of things I don't need, I could probably just stay at the $5 single gigabyte of RAM instance. It's easier and quicker for me to just ramp it up to 2 gigs and take it right back down when I'm done. So these are like upgradable packages installed, not installed, virtual, and tasks. So anyways, we can that's something that how did the book say it? Leave it up to the to exercise for a reader, or in this case, watcher. So I'm gonna knock out. Still have 141 megs being used. So watch this. When I purge, let's watch these numbers right here. So we're looking at 685 for available space. Let's purge these. So we've gone from 685 to 825. Cool. And then let's other stuff besides package management, reboot, shutdown. Those are self-explanatory. And let's go to virtualization. I could use the RAM disk, but since I've got on this overlay, I've got 825. I think I'll probably Hmm. How about for the sake of argument, I use a RAM disk, even though really I'm halfway tempted to just dump it in the temp directory and call it a day. But let's go make a RAM disk. Let's actually put it to use. So RAM disk, 750 megs. Okay, so we go look at mount. There we are. We have shoe RAM. Nothing is inside shoe RAM, and we have 750 megs available to us. Let's go to virtualization. Let's get to the exciting stuff. Oh man, tell me I didn't screw that up. Let's see, virtualization. I don't know what I hit. Anyways, okay. So virtualization. Um, I am going to download, and the way I'm going to do it. So we're going to go download. And the URL that we're going to grab is an ISO image that is gzipped. So we're actually going to process the stream as it's downloading. So we've got this ISO with gzip that's downloading. As it's downloading, we're going to sit there and unzip it. So then we don't have to have like two files actually stored. So instead of having like the gzip file and then uncompressing it and then having this other file, we're just going to actually uncompress the stream as it's happening. At a later date, I do plan on adding support for mounts. In particular, I'm going to chase after doing FTP, SFTP, and WebDAV. Those are kind of what I'm kicking around right now and what I'd like to offer for doing mounts. But I couldn't get it crammed in on version 1.1 this time around. So maybe version 1.2, who knows? So I'm going to go download. So it's asking for a URL. I will pull up pfSense. I will go for 64-bit and ISO. Since our data center is in New York, or I'm sorry, since our virtual private server is in New York, let's go for New York for the mirror. I will copy link and then paste it in here. There's that gzip right there. Okay, there's a gzip that we're going to process with. I will put this on ShoeRAM and I'll call it pfSense.iso. Downloading and decompressing at the same time. Uncompressing, decompressing, tomato, tomato. Okay, so now the ISO is mounted. We don't have, or it's set, I should say, we don't have any devices mounted. So here's where we mount a block device. Can go after our VPS drive, the entire drive, not a partition, but the entire drive. So dev VDA, 25 gigs. Then I'm going to click on start. Okay, virtualization RAM. So yeah, 512. Shoehorn tries to make educated guesses with what it can get away with. So let's see if we can use 512 and not have any errors. If we do, we could try using overlay. And then, in fact, the more I think about it, yeah, let's see. Let's see what we can do. We'll try it. If we get problems, then I'll just knock out the RAM disk. I'll move it over to the overlay, which is actually still RAM, and then that'll free up some space. So let's give it 512 megs of RAM. Hit save. We're going to use VNC. Specific port number is going to be 5900. I'm going to bind it to localhost so that this way it's not out there for the world to access. Okay, so it's running. Check that out. Now here's where it gets cool. Okay, so let me grab that. Let's see. So I'm going to use. It's a tool called Remoter. I love it. If you've never used it, it is fantastic. I'm going to add in the IP address to our server. And here we go. Let me show y'all. So this is a remoter. Lets you have SSH tunnels. It's got that built in, so I don't have to do anything. All right, so it is trying to authenticate. Let's see, that's fine. Press OK. And look at that. So we are doing a kind of conception style. We're emulating inside of emulated. So we're running Comu uh, inside of KVM, which is then inside of a hypervisor at DigitalOcean. So it's going to take a second for this to pull up. We can sit there and watch everything in the background. So we can see our free space for memory is 369 megs, 363. It should be okay. If it starts getting really low, then I'll just, like I said, I'll just cancel out. We'll just move. Okay, so the installation is pulled up. I'm going to try to make some subsequent videos that also demonstrate using Shoehorn to load Windows just for kicks. I like pfSense. I think it's a pretty good firewall. There are some others, but like I said, I think it's pretty good. So we'll just accept, install, continue. Now, where this is useful, because you're probably wondering, like, why would I want to load a firewall with one NIC card on a virtual instance, at somewhere like DigitalOcean or Linode or OVH. For me personally, I think that pfSense really simplifies the ability to set up traffic routing, bridges, VPNs, things like that. So I actually like to create Bastion hosts with Shoehorn and then kind of make like a poor man's virtual private cloud. And so then I can sit there and have like this instance that's sitting somewhere, in particular OVH with unlimited bandwidth. And then I can sit there and have like 10 VPNs all running on there and doing different things. I mean, I'm just making a number up. But then I can have all these remote points that connect to that instance that's in the cloud. And then those can be linked to each other. So it's site to site. And so one example is when my wife and I host friends from Dubai and other countries when they fly in. Well, right now, not with COVID, but when they fly in, they're kind of used to like you can just get on like a torrent site or whatever, that you can get away with in a lot of other countries. Well, I don't know what my guests are doing on the network in my house when I'm asleep and they're sitting there on their laptop at 3 in the morning or whatever. Um, so I use my guest traffic at my house. It's on a separate SSID. It's on a separate VLAN. So I give them, a code to get on, and then they get on, and they're able to do whatever they want, and it sits there and routes across to a instance that's running on a VPS, and then that instance will sit there and run their traffic away from my house. So it's basically anonymized traffic so that way, if I have guests that are doing something, I don't have to sit, over their shoulder and be like, hey, what are you doing on your laptop? And so it's actually less liability for me. Also, the same goes for some of the public locations and stores that my wife and I have. So if we want to sit there and offer free Wi-Fi to some of our customers, then we can sit there and be like, hey, you're welcome to use Wi-Fi. And, we don't want to sit there and have it tied in on whoever the provider is, like Spectrum or AT&T or Grande or whoever it is that we're using. We don't want to sit there and have that kind of traffic from, some random customer that we've never met in our lives, and then get a nasty gram from Spectrum or AT&T or whoever. So instead, we can sit there and route it this way. And then they come out of a more neutral uh, their traffic is more neutral, so that way the liability is entirely on them and not so much on us for providing a public service to our customers. So that's another example. If you have a coffee shop or a restaurant or anything like that, this also works really well for that. Okay, so installation is now finished. Before exiting the installer, would you like to open a shell in the new system to make any final manual modifications? The only thing I'm going to do here is, well, let's see. I can't think of anything. Really, I'm tempted to say yes and then just type in like shutdown, but let's just say no. Installation of pfSense complete. Would you like to reboot into the installed system now? Okay, so since this is actually emulated inside of emulated, I don't want to reboot. I'm just going to say shell. Then I'm going to say shutdown H now. All right. Wait for a second. Wait for that to shut down. If we had done exit, it would reboot. Like I said, I don't want it to reboot. I could have sworn there would be another message that would pop up to let us know that we hit it, but I guess not. Then I will hit stop. So let's just double check one more time. Okay, I see nothing. That's okay. I'm going to hit stop. Waiting for process to end. We see remoter is panicking. Shoehorn disconnected by the server. Do you want to reconnect? Watch this. I'm going to eject the ISO. I'm going to leave the hard drive connected right here in virtualization. I'm going to hit start, and then I will go ahead and run again with 512 megs. Actually, you know what? Let's go get rid of our RAM disk. We don't need it anymore. Maintenance. No loop devices. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so we're all cleared and ready to go. Go back, virtualization. I'm going to go start again. 512, VNC, 5900, bound to localhost, and then, sure, let me reconnect. Okay, check that out. That is our new installation. All right, so we're going to do a couple things. While this is pulling up, let's go look at our networking tab. Let's take note. Okay, public IP address. Public gateway. Okay, so subnet mask 255.255.240.0 in sitter. That is sitter value of 20. So you can use a sitter calculator to figure that out. Okay, should VLANs be set up now? No. Enter the WAN interface name or A for auto detection. VTnet 0. Enter the LAN interface. No LAN interface. So I'm going to hit return. Do you want to proceed? WAN VTnet 0. Yes. Now, I had noticed the other day when I was trying this out, I actually had to set my network interface twice. First time it freaked out because DigitalOcean gives you a gateway address that is outside of what would be the sitter value for the subnet mask. Or what am I saying? It gives you a gateway that's outside of the subnet range. And let's see if that happens. If it does, it's okay. We'll deal with it and then try it again, and it should work. So those numbers that we took earlier, I will go and I will set interface IP address. And right now, this is not publicly accessible. This is only within this virtualized instance that we bound locally. So configure IPv4 address WAN interface via DHCP. No, thank you. Enter the new WAN IPv4 address. That's those numbers I showed y'all right there. So this is what we're doing right there. See if I can paste this in. It'd be really cool if I could. Hey, cool. Okay. Enter the new WAN IPv4 address. Okay. Enter the subnet 1 to 31. So remember our subnet mask right here. So that translates to 240 is /20. Like I said, you can use the sitter calculator to figure that out. So we'll go 20. For a WAN, enter the new WAN IPv4 upstream gateway address. Okay, so copy right there. That's the one that we're going for. Direct paste. Configure IPv6 address WAN interface. No. I'm going to skip IPv6 for now. Press enter for none. Do you want to enable the DHCP server on WAN? No, never. Do you want to revert to HTTP as the web configurator protocol? Sure. Right now, check this out. Okay, yep, great, good. Now, it's going to sit there and say that it should be available, but for those of you that have doubts, okay, nothing yet. So let's just move this tab over to here. And then let's pull up Remoter again. So it's still not accessible to the world. Now, before we make it accessible, before we actually like load the real deal, remember the default password is admin. So that would be really terrible to have that publicly accessible. The old way, in an older guide that I had written, I was like, I'd put like a revolving light, and I was like, change this immediately before somebody, for somebody else does. So let's go and let's see. PHP shell. Let's go for the PHP shell. Okay, and so there's a couple of things. It says available playback commands. Like for example, there's change password. So the default is the username is admin, password is admin, if I recall correctly. And so let's go admin pfSense shell. Let's go playback change password admin. Oh, okay. Playback a file change password. Sorry. Okay, I guess that doesn't take a parameter. That's fine. Admin is our username. Changing password for admin. What do you guys think about Baby Yoda? Let's do. It's also the shirt I'm wearing. So let's see. Let me pull up my camera. My badass wife got me the shirt. So when the beat drops, Baby Yoda. So let's go. Let's type Baby Yoda. 1, 2, 3, 4. BABYYODA 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Interface is set. Password is set. Now let's go for halt system 6. Do you want to proceed? Yes, I do. Okay. I bet on the installer, I bet I was mixing up the screens. Maybe this is where there's the extra stuff I was waiting for on the other one. Yep, yep, okay, yep. All right, so let's see. Da, 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 da. Okay, cool. Nope, nope, we're good. No reconnects for us. So, all right, we are done with that. Now, watch this. Let's go and let's go back to Shoehorn. So if we wanted to refresh, if we go back to virtualization, see, it doesn't give the option to stop it anymore because it is stopped. So block device, let's eject device. Okay, then let's go back. Then let's go to maintenance. Let's go to shutdown system. All right, system is shut down. And we should see this turn off in a second. And there it is. It's off. We're still on boot from recovery. Let's boot from hard drive. Boot device updated. Now let's turn it on. Let's pull up our console. Oh, there it is. Now, how cool is that? Not trying to toot my own horn. Just want to say how cool is that? Okay. Boom. There you go. Operating system sideloaded. DigitalOcean didn't support it, but we did it anyways because that's what Shoehorn does. Hence the name. All right. So let's go try again. Let's watch what happens. We don't have anything. Look at that. pfSense is running on our DigitalOcean instance. We had done the password baby. Let's see, BABYYODA 1 2 3 4. There you go. So super duper evil hackers that are scanning the internet and trying to find platforms that they can take advantage of with default credentials or credential stuffing, right? That's probably why we should use something more complex than Baby Yoda 1 2 3 4. But yeah, so there's that. We can go ahead and bang through. It's gonna just yeah, blah blah blah. Okay, Baby Yoda is our host name. Primary DNS servers. We can do Google. Let's see. Let's see if DigitalOcean shows it to us. Mm, not catching my eye here. That's okay though. See, I believe Linode actually will show that on the networking tab. But I mean, like I said, we are shoehorning our own operating system here. So let's just use Cloudflare DNS and Google. So 1.1.1.1 and 8.8.8.8. Override DNS. Allow DNS servers to be overridden by DHCP. No, thank you. Time server. Yeah, okay. We had already entered this. I suppose technically we could probably just click on the top left corner and cancel out of all this. But for the sake of argument, I'll just walk through, see what happens. See, so I'm not going to block private networks from entering via WAN. The reason is because DigitalOcean gives you private IP addresses, so you can actually have, like, they call it droplets, but you can have servers talking to each other on the back end. So this would be a case where you could have that all running through here. So I don't want to block RFC 1918 space, but I will block Bogon networks because that's stuff that we are not expecting. Let's see, admin password, maybe, let's see, BABYYODA 7890. Ha! BABYYODA 7890. Super secure password. Reload. Blah blah blah. Congratulations. Blah blah blah. Check for updates. Yep, up to date. Everything's good. So there we are. Okay, cool. And that's it. So there you are. You have your own operating system. You have your own firewall that, let's see, what are the options DigitalOcean gives you? Let's go, let's see. Do they even give you an option? Oh, it's just for rebuilding? Okay, that's cool. So yeah, there's those. You could rebuild. We can go back to examples. We could sit there and make another droplet. So those are the options that DigitalOcean gives you: Ubuntu, FreeBSD, Fedora, Debian, CentOS. So that's where we threw on our own thing. Very cool. And so there you are. And then while we're at it, let's go look at system logs, firewall. See, there's KVM. That's there you go. Hypervisor origin, KVM, KVM, KVM. So yeah, like I was saying, firewall. And there you go. We already see all this traffic. Look at all that. Look at all those people trying to get in on SSH. 5501. Why does that port sound familiar? 30120. Ooh, lots of nastiness. So see, look at all these people. 3306, that's my sequel. Um, yeah, so day and night. Let's see, defaults. Boy, look at that. So yeah, day and night. A lot of people doing a lot of nasty stuff. So don't like that. This port, you'll see people are sitting there banging on it. So I would definitely, if I was y'all, I would turn on a couple things. First off, I would turn on like Acme certificates. Let's see, package manager, available packages. Acme right there to use Let's Encrypt certificates, unless of course you've got your own certificate that you've paid for. So yeah, I would turn on encryption because I actually was at a company that didn't use certificates and ran all their I don't know what to say. It's 2020 and this I'm sorry, it's 2021 and this is what we're dealing with is silly people that are not encrypting communications. So it's wow, nightmare fuel when you see somebody that's sitting there with Jira, Confluence, hypervisors, all their crap that's not encrypted. It's just like I need to go to the ER. I have given myself a concussion from face palming so hard. Um, so, anyways, yeah. So yeah, don't do that. Don't have your passwords to your firewalls and all your stuff operating in plain text. Please use encryption. And so then after that, that would be something to do. Uh, in theory, you could sit there and do all this when we were running kind of emulation conception. You could probably try to sideload it there, but it's like another way is you could do like an SSH tunnel. I mean, there's a couple ways to be creative and stick it in if you really want to be that cautious. But let's see, what else would I say? VPN, I had mentioned VPN. That's something I would do. And so then you could start building up your VPN server right here. And then there you go. Now, when you're out and about traveling the world, then you've got a place to call home to. So that's actually what I do. So when I'm in the United States or when I'm in Singapore, then I can sit there any other number of countries, Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia, like all over the place, then I can sit there and actually still have a place to call home. And also how I can access different systems by using this as a Bastion host. So that's one way. So that way everything is encrypted all the way from where I am remotely, even if it's at like Home Depot or Starbucks or something down the street, all the way to being overseas. And then what I like to do on the VPN side, really dragging this video on, and I should probably like save this for an article, but I like to also sit there and have multiple VPN servers. So I will sit there and use UDP 1194 and TCP 443. So that way, if it's somewhere like a Starbucks or a Home Depot or whatever, where they might block ports, most of them they will not block TCP 443 because that's what you're using to call home to your bank. Now, some of them, if they're doing DPI, deep packet inspection, then yeah, they might kind of figure out like that you're running a VPN, and there's other ways, but that is totally on a different day's video. So there you go. And yeah, that's it. The other thing, if you are at your house and your IP changes, you could set up a dynamic DNS, and then you'd be able to use an alias. So let me show you all that real quick. Just security 101 going on here. So my home. Let's call it that. Let's just say my home. DDNS for my house, and then I'm gonna sit there and say you know myhouse.babyyoda.com, and then I'm gonna sit there and hit save, hit apply changes, firewall. I'm gonna make a rule that's kind of like this. Oh, you know what? While we're at it, let's make some ports. So we're gonna say web. Then we're going to say 80 HTTP. I'm going to say 443 HTTPS. Then we're going to go and we are going to make a rule that allows, let's see, TCP. Oh, you know what? Yeah, okay, that's fine. Source, we're going to say my home, destination, WAN address, destination port range. I mean, really, we could say, any. But we're gonna sit there and say web. All right, hit save. Yeah, okay. All right, so there you go. So now we have a rule that allows us to reach the firewall where nobody else sees the firewall because we are. Oh, my neighbor is texting me. Apparently, there's a lot of cops. Huh. So looks like the cops are raiding one of my neighbor's houses.
What?
Yeah, I just got a text about it. Let me text my neighbor who the cops. Hey, just an FYI, there are a ton of cops in front of your house, so you guys might want to move away from the windows. I'm looking at it on the cameras right now. Holy shit.
What?
Yeah, right there. But I'm still making my video, so like, hang on.
Oh.
Like, but well, here, let me pause. Okay. Okay. So, I had made this alias for the firewall. Um, and this sorry, I had gotten distracted. There was a lot of police outside from what a neighbor was texting me. So I got sidetracked. I have like this whole automation system, all Linux. So we're kind of back to talking about KVM on the topic of this video. But so I've got a Linux-driven like KVM is the hypervisor that I use for running my house. And then there's everything that you can imagine that's sitting there running under the hypervisor. So we're talking multimedia, we're talking CCTV, we're talking home automation, you name it, and it's tucked under hypervisor. So there are some cool things I'm really going to try to show y'all in some of these videos and these articles. I mean, really, some of it I feel is kind of just a repeat of what's already on the internet, but there's other parts where it's like, maybe you'll be interested in the way that I'm personally doing it. Um, so source, we've got my home. So we've got a dynamic DNS that's going to be resolved every so often by the firewall. And then the ports, we're looking at 80 and 443. So I'm going to, since I don't have dynamic DNS set up, I'm actually going to knock out the DNS and I'm just going to say any. And then, let's see, I'm going to hit apply changes. On the anti-logout rule, let's see, so we're at So we are at HTTPS. Okay. So we're at web, TCP. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the anti-lock rule just for the sake of argument and to show y'all. Let's see. Okay. One more time before I do, just to make sure. Okay. Turn that off. Password protect the console menu. That's a good one to have as well. The reason I like it is in case there's any curious people that somehow are able to get to the console for the virtual server. I don't want them to be able to jump on and easily control something. That could be like an actual administrator um, with DigitalOcean, even though I think that the threat level is pretty low on something like that. But it's still, in my opinion, good practice. So we're going to hit save. Then redirect, 20 seconds. I'm going to be impatient. And then check this out. On our rules, okay, so we're disabling lockout. Good rules. And there we go. So now what we've got firewall rules. And yep, there it is. So you start to see these rules pop up. Now, what I had shown earlier with dynamic DNS, that would be how we reduce our surface area so that not everybody and their mother can see our login screen for pfSense. So then if I go back here to DigitalOcean, I click on this and I click on console. There, see, now it's just a password screen. So I click on a console and there, see, now it's just at a password screen. So that is about it. That is Shoehorn version 1.1. I have some more cool updates for this coming in the future. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hate it when people say, don't forget to like and subscribe. I feel like that's something that you would do if you found any of this content useful, but saving the absolute worst for last, don't forget to like and subscribe. So I'm gonna turn this off. Actually, I'm just gonna destroy it. I'm not gonna use it. So destroy droplet, confirm. And there we go. Destroyed droplet, and now it's all said and done. So that's it. Thank you so much.